Okay, they weren't kidding when they said that it was going to be a loaded event. In this video, I'll give you a summarized version of the event and what I think about the products launched today. But I won't stop there. Tomorrow, I'll be releasing a new video about the star of the show, which for me was of course the iPad Pro. So make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. There's too much content. I feel like a kid in a candy shop right now. Let's crack on. Timmy started the event talking about Apple Card. It was nicely sugar-coated with building a fairer credit score and sharing credit lines, building credit equally. But let's be honest, you want us to buy more Apple products and stick that in your Apple credit card. Fine. I don't mean to sound cynical, but yeah, we know what you're up to, Timmy. We then moved on to a slightly annoying announcement for me, which is the Apple Podcast. I guess big podcast creators could benefit from this, but I'm a little skeptical about how that will help or do anything for people like me. Putting my content behind a paywall would be nice from an advertising point of view, so the listener wins there. But will the creators benefit in the same way that they do today by running ads in their shows? That just feels very wrong to me. I can't see any real benefit apart from Apple, of course, gaining from the Apple subscriptions. If they included that in their Apple One subscription, then okay, whatever, but pay extra for podcasts? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that one. Then we went into the purple iPhone, a nice color. It looks beautiful, I'm not gonna lie. But guys, let's be honest. After a couple of weeks, maybe sometimes even a couple of days, you've admired your new iPhone. It's going in a case, isn't it? Some people do like to go naked, but the vast majority of people, including myself, will put their iPhone in a nice new case. The cool thing about that iPhone is that you can order it this week, I think on Friday. So if you were on the fence on getting one of these guys, now you've got another color to consider. Okay, then we went to the fun part of the presentation. You gotta give it to Apple, right? No one can really do these events like Apple do. Let's be real, they are amazing at this. So the AirTags were finally announced, and frankly, we can now move on with our lives. Thank you, Apple. And I agree with one of my viewers here. At least we can stop talking about it now. It's been too long. Okay, they have emojis, but ultimately is a glorified tile. For me anyway, same thing. They've got this precision finding using their U1 chip, the iPhone's gyroscope, haptics, accelerometer, quite a few things to make it finding stuff easier and nicer. And yes, that is useful and the price is brilliant. But here's the thing, I can't help but think that this is just another way for Apple to know even more about our behaviors. Yes, they can already do that with Apple devices like iPhone and iPads. So why would the AirTags be any different? Well, at that price point, lots of people will buy this thing. It's getting a tiny Apple product to the masses. And what I'm going to say here might get me in trouble, but I think is the gateway. Here's a little tag. Here's another tag. Attach it to your dog so you don't lose it. But before you know it, you'll be buying iPhones and iPads every year. But they're very serious about privacy. It's not for sharing location and it's not for tracking people. Sure, Tim, I believe you. Then we went to Apple TV Plus. Lots of great camera work here in showing the AirTags in your home, you know, with a Hermes version, of course. Jokes aside, I love the new remote. They always annoyed me, those things. You have to use multiple remotes and they were very limited as well, the previous ones. And the price, again, not bad. $199 for the biggie, not bad at all. But I can't help myself. Apple will get us back on subscriptions. They will get our money one way or another. Okay, so then we went to the juicy stuff. The M1 chip is a great success. I have to agree with Tim here when he said that the M1 was a breakthrough, not an upgrade. Can't argue with that. Just imagine how frantic the Intel guys must be right now. Those silly ads about Go PC, they must be feeling pretty crappy right now. For competition's sake though, and for us consumers, I do hope that Intel turn things around eventually, but it's looking pretty grim right now. The new iMac, which so many people were excited about, ended up having a bit of a mixed reaction. And so was my first impression. I'm like, okay, this is sexy from the back, but has quite a big chin. The display is beautiful, but it's a bit small. Couldn't really pay much attention to things like True Tone. I thought we had that already, to be honest. And the new camera. Okay, 1080p. Whoopie-doo. But I like what they've done with the power cable and the Ethernet. But more importantly, I love what they've done with the speakers and microphones. If that really delivers, as they were saying, you know, watching Dolby content, and we should be able to experience things like spatial audio, that really gets me going. I like that idea. But I find that hard to believe because the sound will be coming from one direction. I am intrigued enough to buy one. Don't think so. I'll probably sound a bit harsh here, but for me, the iMac, the recent iMacs, have always been something that will look really cool in a fancy hotel reception or in an expensive dentist, for example. I don't know. Looks awesome. And for some people, it will be a great machine for many years. For me, I don't know, I need a bigger screen. It's great that we can run iPad and iPhone apps on it now, and there was a big nod to the Apple ecosystem here. Oh yeah, and the LED is slip in there that we can enjoy gaming on the iMac. bless. Lovely new keyboards with Touch ID though, that I like. So that was the M1 iMac. And then we started on this Mission Impossible like scene where this guy cuts through glass with an Apple Pen. For a moment there in this scene, when he dropped his glasses, I was like, oh my god, Apple Glass. But no, it was just part of the scene. For the M1 event we had last year, we had Craig being the meme. For this event, Tim wanted to get in on the action, so Tim is the new meme. He's now Team Cruise. By the way, Tim, you been working out? Looks like you're not missing leg day there. Anyway, I digress. In my video yesterday, I shared how excited I was about the iPad Pro chip. I thought it was going to be named A14X, so did everybody else, and I can see why from a marketing perspective it makes much more sense to call it the M1. With the success that the M1 chip has had, it makes total sense to call it the M1. 16 core being 8 core for the CPU and 8 core for GPU. On the CPU side is 50% faster now than the previous iPad Pro. That's massive. Lots of call outs here for Affinity Design, Shaper 3D and LumaFusion, which is great news for us video editors and creators. On the GPU side, 40% faster graphics as well. I was right about something else as well that I said yesterday. Expect some big numbers, and obviously, you know, for whatever reason, we are comparing the original iPad Pro here with this one and saying that the GPU is 1500 times faster. Yeah, useless information, but yeah, it's impressive. AR models, digital painting, and they mentioned games again with the iPad, but with the PS5 controller, with haptics and everything, so that's cool. The other thing I was expecting was much improved battery, and even though they didn't go into the specifics, they now say whole day battery life. That's better than 10 hours, which was the standard promise before. We then explored a little bit about the storage configuration, including a 2TB option. Do not fall for that trap, guys, unless you really need it in a very specific use case. Don't buy that one. With the new Thunderbolt and USB 4 support, we'll be able to hook up this thing to some really high performance accessories, including external storage. And I will be testing this thing with super fast but external SSDs here in this channel. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. But I'll definitely not be ordering the 2TB version, maybe the 256 gig to give me some breathing space for Final Cut Pro. Come on, Apple. You know it makes sense. They made a big deal of 5G again, but I still don't get excited about that. Still not something that I personally would use, but some people near a 5G antenna might be able to benefit from that. Then we went on to talk about the iPad camera, and according to Fiona here, we love taking photos with our iPads. Really, Fiona? I'd never taken a single photo with my iPad, maybe in a desperate situation or two when my iPhone had died. I can see the use in augmented reality, architecture and learning, that I understand. And they finally solved the problem of the front-facing camera with a new 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera with center stage, which is really cool. They showed us this nice and smooth zooming and adjusting of the camera angle to include you and everyone in the scene. That was cool. I love to see that in real life though and see how it behaves. The display, wow. I was so impressed by this one. They basically moved the same technology as the Pro Display XDR to the iPad. It was really fascinating to learn how they've made this possible. And the new LEDs, you know, the mini LEDs now is 120 times smaller than the previous design, which means they could fit 10,000 or so of these and group them into kind of local dimming zones to precisely adjust the brightness and control the contrast ratio. This is a tablet, and it will be amazing to use, I think. As expected, the developers that they paid, that they invited for the interview, they all went nuts as we expected, and some, I think. Lots of cool possibilities here, lots of really interesting apps that they showed us here on display. And from a pricing perspective, I was actually surprised at how low it was. I knew it was going to go up, but it starts at 1100 for the 12.9 version, and we can order it from the 30th. Subscribe, hit the bell, there's more tomorrow. Super hyped. See you and your smiling faces in the next one. Bye.